everyone, I'm Amelia Newcomb. Thanks for watching. We're talking about today some common mistakes that I see people make in their transition to canter. And the trot canter transition or the walk canter transition is a really hard transition because the horse has to go from a 2-beat gait in the trot into a 3-beat gait in the canter. And if you're going to have a problem, it's probably going to be in this transition. Whenever I'm like trying a young horse or starting a young horse for the first time, I'm always kind of leery of that trot canter transition because that's where you might lose things. Things might fall apart. The horse might get scared and buck and run off, or maybe you get out of sync with them and that scares them. So it's a really hard transition, and let me know if it's a transition that you guys struggle with, because I do on horses that I have. All right. So today we have Fargo as our demo horse. And so the biggest thing to consider to make these trot canter transitions better is the preparation. If your preparation isn't right, your transition's not going to be right. If your preparation is right, your transition is going to be right. But first we're starting with the common mistakes. I find, you guys have been commenting a lot that these, when I say how not to do something or common mistakes, really are helpful, because then you can start to see what maybe you're doing that's causing the problem. Okay, so common mistake number one that I see is this. So I see riders that try to ask for canter from way too slow of a trot. So they'll be like barely trotting like this, and then they'll try to ask for the canter, and the horse will, he did it, but this is a pretty educated and well-trained horse. So let me show you again, and it's hard for me to demonstrate because I'm so used to making things right. So if I ask for canter and he's going too slow, I'm going to ask for canter. So you saw how he kind of ran forward in the trot and then cantered. Let me show you one more time again. So if I'm trotting way too slow and I ask for canter, that's usually what's going to happen. Is you saw how he put his head up, he swished his tail, he got kind of tense, and then he cantered. So in order to correct this, what you want to think of doing is having a much more forward trot. So a really nice forward trot with lots of energy. You want to feel all the energy in the trot that you need for canter, so that you can just trot forward into canter. And you can see how much smoother that was when I had a nice forward trot to carry me into canter instead of that really slow trot. Let me show you once on the other lead. Okay, so a common mistake that a lot of people make is that they have not enough energy, so they have like a really slow trot, and then suddenly they want to canter, and the horse kind of will get scared and put their head up and run off, or maybe they just won't even canter. So a better way to do that transition is to have a more forward trot. So my horse is trotting nicely forward, and then I'm just able to smoothly transition into canter. It's kind of like you want to think about trotting so forward that your horse just barely has to increase the speed and energy to make that canter transition. Good boy. Okay, so the second common mistake that people make is that they lose their body position, and most often they kind of tip forward and crunch up when they ask for canter. So this is what I see a lot of riders do. They're going along and they're pretty comfortable in the trot, so they have the correct alignment of their ear, shoulder, hip, and heel. Their legs are long, their heels are down. Now suddenly, when they ask for canter, they do this. They lean forward and they draw their legs up, and they totally change their riding position, which this horse, he's such a good boy, but a lot of horses, especially on a green horse or a young horse, are going to freak out when you do that. So rather, it's really important when you make that trot canter transition to maintain your alignment and your nice body position. Keep your legs long, keep your heels down, keep your feet in the stirrup, and then thinking about that swishing motion as your seat kind of swishes in the saddle. Oh boy. So mistake number 3, lots of times when people ask for canter, technically you think, okay, what's the aid for canter? Inside leg at the girth, outside leg behind the girth. Lots of times what happens is when people ask for the canter and they put that outside leg back, the horse just kind of puts the hips in and goes faster but doesn't canter. So let me show you that. So here I'm trotting along and I want to ask my horse to canter. So I put my outside leg back and this is what happens. So he responded to my outside leg back and his hip is going in, but he's not cantering. So what you need in order to get that canter to happen is, I think of your outside leg indicates the lead and your inside leg lifts the horse to canter. So outside leg back, inside leg at the girth lifts the horse to canter. So your inside leg is really what tells the horse, gives the horse the impulsion for the canter, and your outside leg back tells the horse which lead you want. Oh boy, Fargo. So if you're still having trouble, another common mistake that I see, which is just in general everything, is not keeping the horse organized. So when I'm getting ready to canter my horse, lots of times what happens with people, the horse puts their head up, they're not round enough, the horse starts running forward in the trot, the horse is leaving the circle line, so I'm no longer able to keep my horse on the circle line. So all those things are going to cause a problem in your canter transition. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a great little exercise to improve your canter transition. So one of my favorite exercises to get the canter is to set it up from a leg-yeild. So what you're going to do, you're going to turn up the quarter line, you're going to leg-yield your horse over to the wall. You don't have a court set up. When you get to the wall, you're going to sit, canter, and circle. So I'll show that again, but using the leg-yeild before the canter transition is a great exercise to get the horse off your inside leg and into your outside rein, so that when you ask for canter, they stay away from the inside leg and they pick up the canter. So again, I'm going to leg-yield him over. Here I'm thinking about left leg and getting him into the right rein. I'm going to sit and canter. Boy, so especially if your horse has a certain side that they lean to, like most horses lean to the right, using that leg-yeild off the inside leg before you ask for the transition is really a great exercise. So let me go show you that to the right, because this horse, I would say most horses lean a little more right, and so if you're having trouble picking up the right lead canter, this is a great way to set it up. You're going to go up the quarter line, you're going to flex your horse a little right and push them off the right leg, and you can see how much harder it is for him on this side. And then when you get to the rail, sit, canter, and circle. Now that trot canter transition wasn't the best because he didn't really go directly from trot to canter when I asked. So I'm going to repeat it again. I'm going to trot, boy, quarter line, always get him one stride straight. And then in the leg yield, I'm looking for that right hind leg to cross over in front of the left. I'm keeping his neck relatively straight. I'm going to sit and canter. That was a good transition. So what you're looking for in your canter transitions is that they're smooth, that the frame stays the same, that your horse stays relaxed, and that you start off in a nice, relaxed canter. Boy. So comment below, let me know if you do one of these common mistakes in your canter transition, and if this video is helpful. Thanks for watching.